All right, everyone, welcome back. This is part 4, I guess, we can include the introduction, of the first section through this module where we're getting clear on 3 things, if my thing will advance. Market, master market, message. And so we've covered master. You are now a master. We officially certified everybody. So you have no excuse. You can teach where you are, what you know right now. You can begin leading. And then you now know who you are leading. You know who you're calling to and what that movement you're creating looks like.
Or at least we've discussed it, right? I mean, and you'll probably go through a few different iterations on this.
Yes.
Brad and I were talking just as we were putting this presentation together that our markets and our message has changed quite a few times over the last 3 years, right? And we went through quite a few evolutions to get to where we're at now, and I highly anticipate that as we continue to go, we'll continue to evolve. So don't feel like this has to be your market. You have to figure it out. Everything has to be perfect. Remember, it's that whole concept that we talked about on the call on Friday. It's learn, live, lead. As you lead, you'll learn lessons that you couldn't see when you're in the live phase of your life. But as you lead, you'll then expand and learn how to lead better. And you might change who you're leading and how you're leading, but it's a constant evolution.
Yep, awesome point. So now we're going on to the third M, which is getting specific and laser focus or sniper rifle accurate on what your message is.
Can I just make a little bit of an interjection here too?
Yes.
I mean, this whole idea of a target, this, Brad, has changed everything. I mean, I'll probably say that 100 times. Everything's changed everything. But this has changed a lot that we've done within our business, right? If you think about the whole world of goal setting, right? This whole, hey, it's New Year's Eve, we're going to set new goals. In my opinion, goals are relatively arbitrary. And especially if we apply these goals to the concept of financial planning, what does it mean to have the goal to retire, right? It's such an arbitrary thing. No one ever really knows if they're on track. They don't even really know what that means. It's just this arbitrary floating future destination. But as we can get more relevant with the clients that we're serving and really put them in a position where a target is quite literally, did you hit it or did you not? Yes or no, right? And as we can laser focus our intentions on a target, it becomes so much easier to get outcomes because we know exactly what needs to be done, what metrics need to be hit, what the outcome of everything we're doing needs to be to say, yes, I was successful or no, I wasn't.
Yeah, and that's powerful because with goals, especially when we're talking about achieving things in our life, we tend to allow them to change. Think about a horizon. Every time as we approach and want to reach that horizon, what does it do?
It shifts.
It moves on us, and we never can actually achieve or reach the horizon. That's why most people are with their finances, because they're not clear, because they don't have a target, because it's not defined for them. They keep changing it and moving, and they're always chasing something that they never really feel like they're getting any closer to. So this is huge to get your audience clear on what their target is, what we're shooting for, and that's the way we want our message to be. We want to, it's so clear that people will know yes or no, did I achieve it or not? Okay? That's a great way to keep it in mind. Okay? So this concept, we want to start this before we get into some of the other parts of it. We want to interject this part here, this idea that clarity is the currency of a modern marketer. Okay, this was introduced to us with a little bit different twist on it. It was this is the currency of a modern man. As we were at one of our trainings, a training we went to, a conference we went to, and the discussion around it was there is so much noise in the world right now. There's just so much going on that really what's going to distinguish the next. So if you rewind in time, like as the information age, well, like what used to give you power was owning land, right? That was sort of what gave us power. Then as we changed into the Industrial Revolution, as you could own capital, that is what gave you power, okay? And information a long time was what gave you control over either of those two things, because information was held back, it was restricted, okay? Politics, kings, kingdoms, churches, organizations tried to keep information so that they were powerful. Okay, and then the information came out, and it became so easy to get any information we want at any given time. Like this device, our phone can do more. Like there's more computing power in this than what got us to the moon. Okay, this can do more than the computers that got us to the friggin' moon. So it is not a question of do we need more information, because we have every piece of information, everything. What is really missing is how clear are we on the right information.
Let me put just a little bit of a different twist on that as well. I think in the productivity world that we live in, right, there are so many different productivity hacks of how you can be busier and get more done in a shorter amount of time. And it's simply because of this overload and excessive amount of information. So you as a marketer, when you are clear on what you're trying to accomplish, right? Are you trying to get 15 people on a webinar? Are you trying to get laser focused on what your message is? Are you trying to get people financially independent? Whatever that is, when you're laser focused and have clarity around what your outcome is and what outcome you're delivering for your clients, it allows you to focus your efforts. And rather than having a day that's busy where you don't really get anything done other than a lot of busy work, you have very clear intentional benchmarks that you're hitting, that you're setting and hitting to move you to a predefined goal that is clear, focused, and targeted, right? And so this has been a huge shift for Brad and I. I mean, in the life insurance world, in the prospecting world, it's all about being busy. JD, you probably understand this. I mean, this is what your guys traditionally are taught to do. Just go out and talk to 15 people and something good will happen. No, it's not about being busy. It's about being clear on what you're trying to achieve, clear on your outcome, and moving like a sniper to hitting that.
Okay, and guess what? We've tried to instill this in you. You in turn have to turn around and help your clients understand that as well. And that's the whole point of this section is you've got to get very clear on, we don't want the noise over here on the left. This is what we want. We want them, we need your client, and you need to figure out what this is and focus on that, okay? And in the process of doing that, I hope this guys will resonate with you guys. You have to give value. You can't just put up cat posters. Like we get on Facebook and just post inspirational quotes with cool pictures by it. That's not marketing.
That's noise. That just contributes to the noise out there.
Okay? So this is not about cat posters in our marketing. Okay? And then again, at the end of the day, results are what matter. Okay? If we can get results for our clients and show that to everybody else, that is our focus. How many rings do you have? Right? This is why you need to be living it, and you need to be building case studies with your clients, and you need to be putting that out there as a result-oriented thing, because what people want, what gives them clarity, what can dispel all of the other distractions is this very clear result that we're shooting for. And then we align back with that result every time. Does it get us there or not? If it not, ignore it. We don't even have to talk about it. And we're only talking about things that get us toward our results. This keeps us on point. It keeps us clear.
And to stay clear on what we're talking about today as well, I mean, guys, we're throwing a lot of things at you. When we get into the tools section, we're going to show you how to laser focus apply all this stuff. We've got such a cool way to share with you guys on how to collect testimonials, how to collect results from your clients.
Yep. And then this last thought here, if you're not clear on it, how in the world can your clients be clear? Okay, those that teach infinite banking here are going to understand this. How many times do you have clients who can't explain to their friends what we do? And then how many of you also trip over your words in your elevator pitches or your quick descriptions of what you do? So if you aren't clear on what you get for clients, then they're never going to turn around and be able to be clear. And for Ryan and I, as we got clear, starting and focusing with results, then delivering value based on those results and having them clear on what they want, why it matters, and who they need to become, clients had the clarity to go out and be our advocates for us. They could go out and say, I'm on path to be financially independent in 10 years or less. And even if they couldn't explain or didn't want to explain the rest of the detail, they could be on point enough to share it with other people, which again improves our results. Okay? So you have to be clear on what your message is, or else your clients never will be. Okay? So now that we've got the attractive character, or you're working on it at least, and we have the movement that you are leading, Now it's time to get believers into our movement. So now you have to learn the art of creating belief. So I want to shift your thought around as you're putting together a message. It really is focused on creating belief. Okay, and in our call before this that we had, we were distinguishing the difference between marketing and sales. Okay, this is not being a better seller. This is not educating more effectively. This is not using another calculator. This is marketing. This is creating interest, creating belief, moving people's hearts toward what our movement is all about. Okay, we don't have to feel bad about this because we can come in and back up and do everything we feel that we owe to a client. But on the marketing side of our message, it really is focused on creating belief. Okay? So with that in mind, we're going to now go into a little bit more detail, I feel like I'll advance, on what we talked about. We mentioned this in the very first introductory video, that really what we're focused on with our message is we've got to create this new opportunity. Okay? Or we also think about this as a vehicle of change. That's how we have to learn how to present our message. Because if we're presenting improvement, if we're presenting it, making what we already have better, then we're dead in the water. We're going to go deep on this concept now, just like we promised before. Okay? So here are a couple ways to think about this. Anytime there's been a mass movement, the leader or charismatic, attractive character of that leader was always pitching something new. Okay, think about Christ. Christ wasn't, let's live the law of Moses better, right? He said, get rid of that and we're bringing a new covenant. Okay, it was an entirely new approach. Okay, on the other side of that spectrum, Hitler did the same thing. He's not saying let's make a better Germany or let's figure out how to play in the European world better. What was it? It was the new Reich, right? It was the new empire that was replacing the old one. Okay, so on either side of this, there's always been that person that has pitched and brought to their movement a new opportunity. Okay, Russell Brunson says this about it. He says, this is by far the most important yet least understood part of the process. The difference between having some modest success and changing the world comes down to understanding and implementing the new opportunity.
I want to stop right there for a minute. Brad, this was really hard, and I don't want to discount this because this was really, really hard for us.
We're
right?
still working on it.
We're for sure. I mean, when we first went to Russell Brunson, right, and we said, look, we have an improvement offer. This life insurance is not new. It's the oldest thing. It predates the Federal Reserve. It predates the stock market. It is not a new opportunity. Infinite banking is not a new opportunity. Real estate investing is not a new opportunity, right? And we went to him over and over and over on this. And he kind of helped shifted our mindset, but it really took us, Brad, you and I, turning off our cell phones and getting clear and focused on what the new opportunity actually is. And yes, we're using old platforms. Yes, we're using something that's been around for a long time, but we shifted it around to say it's not this established thing. This is the new opportunity, and we'll back our way into the foundation of it.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Okay, here, see if this rings true to anybody, Caleb. Okay, here's a quote from Eric Hoffman's book, The True Believer, which is basically a manual on how to start a mass movement. So if you want to start a cult and take over the world, read that book. He says this, he says, the practical organization offers opportunities for self-advancement. Yeah, that sounds like all of what we did, right? We're going to be very practical, we're going to move this forward, and we're going to make incremental change. He says, on the other hand, a mass movement appeals not to those intent on bolstering or advancing a cherished self, but to those who crave to be rid of an unwanted self. Okay? And that's the idea here, and this is why I like the subtitle of this, which is a vehicle of change. What we need to realize is what people really want is they want to be a new person. They don't want to improve it. They want something new. They want to reinvent themselves. Okay?
Let's prove this out in a couple different ways, not related to the financial industry or insurance of any kind, right? So, and let's go back to Christianity. When you become converted to Christ's new way of living, what are you told to do? Kill off the old person and be baptized and be reborn as a brand new person. Every single year, what is one of the biggest traditions around goal setting? It's the new year, right? Kill off all of the old things. Don't worry that you didn't lose the 20 pounds. Don't worry that you didn't do all the things that you should have done up to this point. beginning at 12 o'clock, you're going to kiss, someone out when the ball drops, and then you're a new person, and you're going to have a new goal and a new opportunity. It's refreshing. I've felt that so many times, right? I'll go on a hike and I'll come back down and I'll feel like a new person because I gained clarity, and I'm going to kill off who I was. I'm not going to be that same person. I'm going to be reborn, essentially, and do things new, not better, but brand new. I'm going to do it, the way I have been doing it.
Yep. Okay. And what people want, as we're looking at this idea of really what people want, nobody wants. Think about it this way. This is a good example. Nobody in the history of the world ever has wanted a hammer. Okay? But people buy them all the time. And if you talk to the Home Depot, guy that's in his orange thing, he's going to say, people come in for hammers all the time. You're mistaken. But I say that no one has ever in the history of the world wanted a hammer. What do they want?
They want the outcome. They want something built.
They want a nail in the wall so they can hang a picture, right? They want to put a shingle on a roof to finish a house. They want the result of what the hammer will give them. And what we're telling you guys is nobody wants more money, ever. No one cares about having more money. It's who they can be once they have that money. So as we're talking about changing themselves, we're not talking about, I want to talk to a whole bunch of losers and help them be better. This isn't necessarily personal development. But we all have that desire to be somebody new. And oftentimes what's holding us back is this new opportunity. So as you think about your audience, you think about who they want to become and how what you can offer them, what you're positioning against is holding them back. That's the ground, that's the bed that you can plant the seed of your new opportunity.
So let's talk about a few practical ways to do this, okay? Now, this is not in the presentation here, but let's just talk about a few practical ways, because this, with a client on a webinar, is hard, right? They come to you and they say, okay, I'm meeting with you because I want a better rate of return, or I want my money saved from taxes. What we just told you is that's not really what they want. And if we assume that's what they want, then we will never convert them as a long-term client, ever. They might buy from us today, but they'll buy from the next person a year later and they'll cancel the policy, or they'll come back to you 2 years from now saying, what the heck did you sell me? This is not what I want. So for us, this all came around over a lot of testing and application through the power of asking the right questions. And part of this is really an art and a science in and of itself. Part of this really is you having the ability to ask a question and being bold enough to wait for the answer. Being bold enough and willing to wait for the uncomfortable silence to pass and not moving forward until your client can articulate what the true answer is. So let me tell you this. Remember the first 3 questions that we asked you guys. What do you want? That's a hard question for anyone to answer. It's easy to say, it doesn't matter what I want, I just want this. And it's always a surface level thing. So when you ask the client what is it that they want, they're going to tell you they want their money safe from market risk. They're going to tell you that they want health insurance that's cheaper than someone else's health insurance. They're going to tell you they want no taxes. They're going to say all those things, but at the end of the day, that's not really what they want. So the next thing that you have to ask them is, why does it matter? Now this kind of starts to strip away some of the surface level of what it is they really want. Why does it matter if their money is safe from market risk? Well, they might say, okay, it's now I have more confidence and more security. So we're starting to get to the root of things, right? Now, what I've found is some good ways to kind of go deeper on this is ask why. We've been told this over and over and over, but ask them, what would your life look like, feel like, and be like if we accomplished XYZ? What do you want? Why does it matter? What would your life look like, feel like, and be like if we accomplished XYZ? And here's the power of doing webinars. We're writing this down right in front of them. Right in front of them. When I ask them these questions, I write their answers down right in front of them, and I do not stop until we have got to the emotional part of it, until we have got to their heart. We have to get out of their head and get into their heart to discover what it is they really want. And if you can do that, guys, if you can do just that one thing, get them clear on what they want and why it matters, not the rate of return, but what it will really allow them to accomplish and live in their life, you can go back to this every meeting that you have. And every question that they ask you from that point forward, every single one, when someone asks me a question that says, hey, my financial advisor said I should keep putting money in my 401k. Well, we can go right back to where we wrote down their questions on the webinar, and I can say, look, you're going to put money in your 401k. Does this get you what you want? And I leave it to them. And if it does, awesome, we move on. If it doesn't, then it's really easy to say and see, then that is the wrong choice to make. And the third question that we ask you now is, we're going to shift this back on you. What do you have to do? Who do you have to become? What steps do we have to take to get you from where you are today to this future pace goal, what we want? Powerful stuff, guys, and I don't want you guys to miss that, because this one thing, you connecting to a client's heart, will literally change everything. That's the second time I've said that. There's a lot of things that are going to change.
Good, but Ryan, we can't do this in the first appointment, right? I mean, that's just too bold.
Well, it depends on how good of a marketer you are.
Yeah, and Ryan is the best at just holding space, jumping in, and doing it. I tend to try to get him warmed up a little bit and try to answer some of the surface stuff, and it never goes as well as when I just do what Ryan just explained and just make that the I will not move forward until we answer that. Okay? All right, awesome stuff. So let's come back now to the vehicle of change, and let's look at some examples of what this looks like. Okay? 10 or 15 years ago, we used to listen to things called CDs, right? Things like songs on them. Okay, and before that we had cassette tapes. Before that we had records.
Walkman. I had a Walkman.
He had a Walkman. Ryan did. He was cool with it. Okay, and so there was this, but then Apple came out and put out something that was new, but it wasn't really new, because there were portable music devices, just the very same thing. Okay, but what Steve Jobs didn't want to do was to try to have something hold a few more songs, right? He realized what people really desired. Okay, they had huge. If you remember, like there used to be furniture sold that like held your CDs. Like a whole piece of furniture designed around holding your music collection. And he envisioned having that entire music collection that you could take with you and have it with you everywhere that you went. So what did Apple do? They didn't say, hey, we made a music player that can hold 3 gigabytes of information. Because that wasn't what people, I mean, maybe that's what they wanted if we boiled it down logically, but what did they desire? They desired 1,000 songs in your pocket. And that's the way he revealed it, was what if you could put all of your entire music library in your pocket? Well, no, that's not possible. And then he did that little move and pulled it out of his pocket. It says right here, 1,000 songs in your pocket. Okay? Then they decided to disrupt another industry a few years later. Okay? They didn't decide to make an industry better. They looked at what people desired. They wanted to be more connected. Okay? So what did they create? And behind Steve Jobs there, you can see they reinvented the phone. They didn't make a better phone. This is better than your flip phone. You remember Razor phones? Like that was the cool thing right before the iPhone. They didn't make a better flip phone. They reinvented and gave you something totally new. Yeah, it still made phone calls, but it also had your iPod in it too. And it connected to the internet and all the other stuff that it does. Okay? So Apple's fantastic at this, and the last example of that further with Apple is they're good at presenting what they have. Okay, our most advanced technology. So this isn't new stuff. The iPad wasn't new; it was all the same stuff. You could just be like, it's just like a big iPhone. They could have presented it like this is really cool because it's like your iPhone but bigger. How that wouldn't have landed very well. Instead, they wrapped it this way. They said it's a magical and revolutionary device. How's that for a vehicle of change or a new opportunity?
I want one.
I want something that's magical. Yeah. Okay. So the reason Apple is who they are is, I mean, obviously they have really good stuff, but they're incredible at marketing it.
And let's not stop right there, guys. We all have really good stuff. We all have really good stuff. We all know that our product is the absolute best for the clients that we serve. This is why it is so fundamentally important that we become amazing marketers, because the only way that Apple sells, I don't know how many of their products that they sell, and get their best products into more people's hands is they're really good at positioning a message into the heart of people with a new opportunity. We have the same moral obligation, guys. I've never felt so strongly about this as I have over these last couple of years as I've learned to become a marketer. We have a moral obligation. If we know that what we have is the best thing for a client, we have a moral obligation to become a good communicator and a good marketer so we can deliver more of our stuff, our best things, to more people.
And if you're not connected, and this is why we started with why, if you're not connected to why, then you're just hawking stuff, right? This is us, we're changing lives. This is why we need to be good at this, okay? So that's kind of the summary behind improvement offer new opportunity. New opportunities are better. Well, why is it though that improvement fails? Let's break this down another step, okay? First off, improvement's hard. It's difficult, okay? And here's an example of this. Like, how many of you, knowing what you know now, if you went back in time to your old self, would you do it again? Like, think about starting a business or going out on your own or all the risks you took. Like, if you weren't sort of irrationally ignorant about what it was going to be like when you were successful, you probably never would have done it. Okay, there's lots of things that I've now accomplished, but looking back on, I was like, man, if I knew how hard that was,
Wouldn't have done it.
I would have never started out. Okay, and again, this is Eric Hoffman says, he says they must be wholly ignorant to the difficulties involved in their vast undertaking. Experience is a handicap. Okay, so it's not just saying we're looking for people that aren't willing to work hard and trick them into something that's new. Okay, but it is sort of wiping that slate clean and saying, no. Let's get rid of the prior experience, let's get rid of how difficult things might be, and let's consider a new possibility. And with that new vision and that new possibility, now the whole trying to logically back up, well, how much work is this really going to be, sort of fades away because they stay focused on the new thing. Okay, so I want to take this away that we have to work with dumb people. I struggled with that. It's like, well, I just want to work with people that are okay with working hard, and that'll be fine. But again, we're on the marketing side of this. We're on the attraction side of this. We're on the desire side of this, okay? The next one is looking at that, desire versus ambition, okay? It's easier to work with somebody's desire. But when it comes to ambition, we all lack ambition, okay? Probably less than 2% of the people in the world are actually ambitious.
Let me share something there. So Brad and I think this is the third year, right? I can't remember exactly when, but we might have shared this in one of the videos too. We read a book called Miracle Morning, right? And this Miracle Morning is all about a guy's story that just his life collapsed in front of him. And he started over, literally, figuratively, in so many different ways. And Brad, you and I, about 3 years ago, it was over Christmas, I'll never forget it. I was downstairs putting in a food storage. You know, we bought all this food storage, Utah stuff. I was downstairs putting in a food storage, and you called me up and you said, hey Ryan, I need you to read this book. Right? And you told me all about the Miracle Morning. And we were right at the point where we wanted to change. And we wanted to expand and grow within our capabilities. And the only way that we could do it is by being extremely desirous for the outcome. But we had to be ambitious to do it as well. And we decided to wake up at 5 a.m. Now, the next morning...
And I yawned right when he said that, see? I don't know.
Well, and here's where I'm coming to the point with this. The next morning at 5 a.m., my ambition, I read the book and I was all excited, and boom, yes, I want it. And I'll wake up at 5 a.m. But the next morning when the alarm went off, my ambition was gone. My willpower didn't exist. I got up and I hit the snooze button. And Brad, I think you might have done the same thing.
Yeah.
And the day after that, I got up and I hit the snooze button. My ambition, my willpower was not existent at 5 a.m. in the morning. Ambition comes and goes. Willpower comes and goes. And you might have it for a little while, but you have to use it when you have it. And so here's the thing. Desire stays. Desire, the idea, the thoughts of accomplishing something more stayed. And so you and I worked out a way to start texting each other and making sure that we could overcome the lack of ambition and desire at 5 a.m. in the morning. We would text each other and say, Brad, get out of bed. And then 10 minutes later, Brad, are you still out of bed? Ryan, are you still out of bed? Until it got ingrained, until it became a habit for us, and now it's a way of life.
But I texted Ryan this morning just to make sure.
Yeah.
3 years later, we still lack ambition, even though we have the desire. Okay, that's us too. Okay. The other reason is if we're trying to improve something, we're therefore acknowledging that we've failed, and nobody likes to do that. Nobody really likes to stare at their demons or look at the skeletons that are in their closet. Okay, so and we're going to teach this in a minute, but it's much better to justify their past failure by saying it's not you, it's this thing that you were doing.
It's not your fault.
It's not you, it's this thing. If we can get rid of that thing and replace it with this, now you're whole. We can do that. And we don't have to go through like, okay, why are you broke? If we're going to improve upon this, we're going to make you do this thing better. Okay?
Think about this from a financial standpoint, guys. I mean, what's the one thing that you guys hear the most often? For me, it's, I wish I would have met you 20 years ago. I hear that almost every single day. And guys, having people acknowledge that what they've done with their finances up to a certain point in time, it's almost impossible, right? It's not an easy subject and not an easy topic to broach. And if you can broach it in a way that you alleviate the blame on them, they're not stupid. They haven't been following, ignorant, erroneous advice on purpose, right? If we can alleviate that for them and opens them up for this new opportunity and allows them to that rebaptizing, right, or baptizing, to become a new person. It's not their fault, and we're going to show them a new way.
Okay, and the last part is, if you are teaching improvement, it means you're a commodity. Because improvements are already out there and everybody can do them. Everybody can copy them, everybody can be certified and licensed in them. Everybody can be that guy because it's common knowledge now, okay? But a new opportunity makes you an expert. This is what we've been talking about the whole time. It makes you unique, it makes you different. You don't have any competition because you've got this new thing that nobody else has. That's why you can charge whatever or make them do whatever or structure your thing however you want, because you're not competing with a whole bunch of other stuff, a bunch of other people also trying to improve people, okay? This is where your differentiation comes in, okay? Okay.
So let me throw one thing in there. So I was on the way to the gym this morning, right? After Brad texted me, made sure I was out of bed.
I beat you to the gym because I was up 20 minutes before I texted you.
That is true, you were. So I was on the way to the gym and I was listening to the radio this morning because my willpower was low and I just couldn't
People
turn
listen
on.
to the radio stuff?
I couldn't turn. I had my iPod or my not iPod. What is it? We've been talking all this
iPhone.
Steve Jobs stuff. iPhone, and I had it ready to put on a podcast, but I was too dang tired. Stayed up late last night. But anyway, let me get to the point. I had the radio on, and there was this ad that came on, and they were saying this new FDA recently approved thing that if you take it and it compensates for low testosterone, and your muscles are going to increase, your sexual drive is going to increase. It's this brand new thing. All you have to do is text blah 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 to this number. And guess what? I was sorely tempted to text blah 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 to that number because it was a new opportunity, right? I mean, this just barely came out. The FDA just barely approved it, and if I got it in my hands, I would have these massive improvements in my life. It was a new opportunity. So This happens to us all the time, and when it's positioned the right way, it piques and really piques our curiosity.
Yep. And it's going to be funny because now that you guys know this stuff, you'll start to see good marketing and bad marketing. You'll be like, dude, that poor guy, he's just trying to improve everybody. This is really not going to work. Like I go to there's a couple of my people on my wife's side of the family, her sister's husbands who are trying to start businesses, and they're going through the struggles that we all go through. We do that, and I keep trying to be like, guys, you're just not getting it. You're just not getting it. You'll all really start to see that. So all this is well and good, but it's not actually the number one reason why people don't want improvement. They're all pieces to it. Those are all aspects to it. But there's actually only really one reason that we do anything or don't do anything. And it's not what you think. It's not what I used to think. Okay? It's not desire and ambition. It's not that we're lazy, or it's not that whatever. There's one thing that makes this, and that is status.
Boom.
Okay? And your clients are asking this question, and this is a question that's going on in subconsciously in your own head. Is this thing that I'm considering going to increase my status or decrease my status? Okay? So this is what causes us to move, and it's not about how others perceive you. It has actually more to do with how you perceive yourself or how comfortable you are with yourself. And if you're saying this, you're not affected by status, okay? This is the way there are clearly some people, and I'm one of them. I drive a big truck, and there's no reason to drive a big truck except so people see it. I mean, I'll just be honest about it, okay? So we do this to an extent, but there are some people that look at me and say, I would never drive a truck like that. I would never be that flashy. Fine, that's great. But guess what? The reason you're driving a minivan is the same exact reason I'm driving a big truck. Because if you go to the mommy park with your kids and drove a big truck or a Lamborghini or Ferrari, when you got out, how would you feel? Not comfortable. You would not be part of the group. You would not be accepted. Therefore, you choose to drive a minivan, or you choose to be frugal, or you choose, even if it's the opposite of what everybody would say is status, you're choosing that
And that's your status.
for your own status.
Here's something that's really interesting, right? And it's probably in the book Expert Secrets, but Russell Brunson has said this to us no less than 50 times. The only reason someone will move, act, is if it's going to increase their status. Now I'm going to share a really interesting example of this with you guys. So we go to these inner circle meetings all the time with Russell Brunson, and there's this guy that we met maybe 6 months ago named Bart. Really good guy, but when he walks into the room, he is by far the most flashy dresser guy I've ever met in my life. He has these loud, buoyant colors and all of them. I mean, he's just flashy. He's got these glasses and shoes, and you're like, man, that guy probably spent $100,000 on the outfit he's wearing, right? But when he walks into the room, every single head turns, right? Every single head turns, and he commands attention. Now, a lot of people have hired him to go be their shopping consultants, right, and buy stuff. And Bart and I, we kind of got to be friends. Now, if you knew me, I'm a t-shirt and a
Sweatshorts.
Yeah, I'm sweatshorts right now, so I apologize. But hey, that's my thing, all right? And when Bart came and started talking to me, because we've actually become really good friends, he said, guys, Ryan, you're talking to people about multi-million-dollar decisions. And I guarantee you the reason that some of those people don't take action with you, they don't move, is they perceive you not having the appropriate level of status to elevate their status, right? You might be selling some really good features in your product, but they're not perceiving in you an elevation in their status. So Bart challenged Brad and I to increase our status with what we wear. And he took us shopping. And I'll tell you what, I have never been in a more uncomfortable and unique experience than shopping with Bart, right? So we're in stores up in the mall, and he has the entire store, like all these girls and people running from left to right to get this and that, and he's standing back in the back, and we're standing in front of mirrors with these clothes on. We're kind of, like standing here, and he's judging us, judging how these outfits look on us, and he's demanding and directing all these people to go get this size and this cut and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, when I put on the clothes that Bart helped me buy, my status goes up. I feel it. I feel more confident. I feel more powerful. And when I engage with people that I want their status to go up when they engage back and do business with me, they feel it and they receive it and they resonate with it. And just think about this from all aspects of your life, because this will come through in the way you present yourself. And just like Brad was saying, my whole opinion was I'm going to be the minivan guy, right? I'm going to be the minivan guy, and that's my status position. I don't need those clothes to make a difference. Now, I might not, but by default, I am making a status decision, and I will eliminate or negate doing business with people that perceive or want a status increase based on what I wear.
Now, JD, before you get too excited about the suits that you like to wear, okay, I'm going to put another spin on that too, just to drive this home. I had a client. She was considering, I think the first policy we did with her, it was $100,000 in base, $300,000 in PUA, so $400,000 a year, plus she was going to dump in another couple $100,000. So we were looking at $600,000-$700,000 decision. And we're going through this, and I'm like at the climax of presenting all of this and how amazing it's going to be. And I'm in my home office, and my 3-year-old barges through the door. And I shoot her out of the room, come back, and this client is just totally now off and done. She's like, look, I'm dealing with amateur hour here, and this isn't going to work. And I flipped this status thing on her. And I said, no, you don't understand. Look, and I turned my camera out on the lawn where my kids were playing. And I said, I have the best view in the world. Like, I could go get an office downtown with a quote-unquote better view, but this is the view that I want. And she saw my kids playing out there. And I turned it back. And like I did with some of you guys, I showed her that I wasn't wearing shoes. And I said, hey, I'm trying to teach you how to be financially independent. If I'm not financially independent, how can I teach you how to do it? and I switched status on her. To her, status was high-rise office building, mahogany desks, fancy suits and ties. But I helped her realize that that wasn't what she wanted, and that's exactly why she was coming to me. Okay? So this all feeds back to the attractive character, guys. You have to, part of the reason you have to live what you're doing is to portray that status increase. Okay? Think about like startup companies with dudes wearing hoodies. Like, you can't start a tech company if you don't own and wear a hoodie every day. That's the status symbol of what they were shooting for. Okay? So what we're doing, the way we present our message and the way we have people engage with it can either increase their status or decrease their status. Okay? And we know what increases people's status: intelligence, wealth, style, happiness, power, physical appearance. All of those things can help increase somebody's status. But the thing that decreases it is the risk of feeling stupid. What if this doesn't work? So going back to the reasons that improvement offers don't work is the amount of increase in status is negligible compared to their possibility of feeling stupid. So if that scale is out of balance and there's a greater possibility of feeling stupid than accomplishing all of this, because I tried my diet and it didn't work. So if I keep trying it, I have a high likelihood of continuing to fail and feeling stupid. Okay? But if we give them that new opportunity now, again, that idea that experience is actually a handicap, they don't have all that negative experience of maybe I'll fail, and they're starting to see how their status could be elevated by achieving this new thing.
That's why your message is so important. We're going to get into this, but this is why your message is so important. If your message elevates status, then it makes your clients excited to share it. It makes them excited to get at the water cooler with the rest of their buddies in the office and say, guys, I just did XYZ and my status just went up. And all the guys around the water cooler say, oh man, I want what he has. That's awesome. He just did XYZ. But if your message isn't on point, and if it's just insurance, if it's just mine's better than yours, then no one will share it, no one will talk about it, and they will feel stupid at the water cooler. They won't bring it up, they won't talk about it because they're not excited, because it will be a decrease in their status.
Yeah. I just thought of something. I remember Dave Ramsey's little beginning jingle to his thing was the new status symbol is a paid off house. Yeah. Right? The new status symbol of the rich is a paid off house. So even somebody like Dave Ramsey plays to this very thing. Okay? And so when we're putting our message together, we've got to have them feel that their status will increase and take away their chance of a status decrease. And we'll touch a little bit more on that today, but the next segment is where we're actually going to build a lot of this out. But if we don't understand this concept, then building it out won't make a lot of sense, okay? All right. So there's two ways that we can present. There's lots of different types of new opportunities. In every market, you can create a new opportunity, but there's two ways to present it. And it's very important that we get these right. This, I think, held Ryan and I back for a long time, and I think it holds our industry in general behind, okay? By not putting the new opportunity in the right bucket, okay? So the first opportunity, or the first way that we put it together is an opportunity switch, okay? We take the old opportunity and we switch it with our new one, okay? We're replacing it, okay? And that's somebody that's looking for change. But we do this by knowing, again, going back to their desire and speaking to their desire and getting on the same page and connecting over that message, and then saying, to get there, you thought you wanted this, but let me show you a new way to do it. Okay, so this is a new way to get what you're wanting. So how to lose weight, right, without eating carbs or whatever, or while still eating bacon or whatever the thing is out there. That's what it's aimed at, is a common desire, a well-known, clearly articulated desire that I'm going to give you a new way to achieve it. Okay? Then the other way to do this is we can stack opportunities. We can say, great, you like this new opportunity or something that you already have, let's make it better. Okay? For Ryan and I, this has worked really well. Real estate, awesome, let's make it better with infinite banking. Okay? You could even do this with like the wealth building cornerstones idea. Okay, you've got qualified plans. I'm not going to switch you out of that. I'm going to make it better. Okay? And this works a couple of different ways. So with ours, we've also talked about, hey, financial independence. And people will come in and say, well, I need a higher rate of return. And we'll be like, great. what are you going to get with a higher rate of return, why, and then we switch them into, well, you don't actually need a higher rate of return to get what you want. Okay? So this is important around our messaging. I'm hoping this is making sense. It's still pretty conceptual today. In our later messages, we'll get into more detail. But new opportunity, the other really powerful part of understanding the opportunity stack is this allows your customers to do more business with you. Once you get them converted to your new opportunity, well, I used to just like puke on people. I used to show them, when I presented Infinite Banking, I would show them everything that they could do with it. Thinking that if they could see everything, then they'd be idiots not to do it. But in reality, they just couldn't process and they shut it down. Or they hadn't been able to take enough steps to prepare themselves for that. So now what I do is I find their number one pain point and I switch them into that opportunity. And then I say, cool, we got an insurance policy. Let me show how it can improve your mortgage and your tax situation and your amount of retirement income and how you do real estate and how you save for college education. If we can separate our concepts and understand how they stack, then we can have a process that we take a client through that continues to keep them saying yes, 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 or in that pattern. Okay, and it's going back to it's improving their status every time we do it. Okay? All right, so we do it through this. So to manufacture the switch, okay, this is the thought process we go through. We first think about what is the result that they want. Think about hammers. Okay? Am I hanging a picture or am I hanging shingles? I'm going to use a very different hammer depending on what my job is. Okay? And then we have to get inside their head and understand what vehicle are they already in that they think is going to get there. I want to be financially independent. My CPA told me to, Anthony, stop telling people this. I know you're not, but you're in the 401k vehicle to get me there. And now we think about what do they wish their vehicle could do that it can't now? How can we give them a new vehicle to still get them to that same desire?
Well, guys, and let's go back to where we started, right? This is why if you don't have the right results, if you stay surface level, you never really have fans. You never really have true clients. That's why the result, Brad, you taught me this from a very early time. People don't know how to articulate. They don't even know what questions to ask. And they've been, we are running all over the place. And they've been taught that, hey, a 5% rate of return or a 7% rate of return is better than a 5% rate of return. So the question I should ask Brad is, how do I get a 7% rate of return? If you can take a step back from that and help them realize and understand, and this is where Wealth Building Cornerstones is awesome, right? It's not about the rate of return. It's not about any of that. It's about what you really want is you want a safe, secure, confident retirement. You want more time. JD, you said that today in our calls today. What people really want rarely has anything to do with the questions that they ask you.
Okay. And a lot of times your client has these confused. They think the result is a 5% rate of return or 7% rate of return or less income taxes. That's not. That's their vehicle. And you've got to help them understand result versus vehicle. And we're going to put the way, like you guys have said over and over, you love the one-liners we have. You love the way we frame our message. It all comes back to these concepts, and you'll start to see this as we go through. So the first thing, one of the homework assignments we're going to have you work on is what we call this who-what statement. Okay? And a little more accurately, the way we look at it is we want to frame our stuff in this way. How to get the result they want most without having to do the thing they fear the most. Okay? Now ours is a little bit of a twist on this. Okay, and everybody's mentioned it, they really like it. Ours is financial independence, the thing they want most, in 10 years or less. The thing they don't want the most is have to wait, right? Or hope on. Okay, so ours is a little bit of a twist on it, but it still has those same elements. We have another one where we teach real estate, how to get real estate-like returns without owning real estate.
Or we have one that we present to, around the tax code, and it's how to eliminate taxes from your financial plan or your retirement without, lessening your income or living on dog food or something like that.
Yeah, without complex estate plans or having to
He's the CPA, he did that one.
So there's that one. So and we can see these in lots of you'll start to see these more and more. And Russell Brunson is the master at this, right? He's got tons of these. I was going to look up some of them, but this is the way we want to start putting our message together. Okay, we've had you do.
This is your elevator pitch.
Exactly. I teach people how to whatever without having to do the thing they hate. And by the very name, like that is the definition of a new opportunity, because it gets me what I want without having to do the thing I used to think I had to do. Like that's a new opportunity.
And you want to frame it in a way, and this is why these statements are so hard to craft but yet so fun. You want to, you got it right there. You want to frame it in a way that it hooks them, right? That it creates curiosity. How to become financially independent in 10 years or less. If people are interested in that at all, the next question is, how do I do it?
And if they ask that question, you phrased it correctly. Okay, so we have to leave two elements out of this, right? We have to allow them to be curious. If we give them the answer, if we say how to pay less in income taxes through using life insurance, well, now they already know the answer, and they'll say, well, I don't need to do that, or they'll say, I already know everything about that. Right, their own status is going to come in, and if you give them the answer, their status is going to say, I know that, and it's going to help them. Because if they
say they don't know it, then it decreases their status,
and they're not going to want to engage. But if it's curiosity, how can I get real estate like returns without actually owning real estate? Like, what do you mean? That's not possible. Click. Right now, this is why we go all the way at the beginning. We talked about actually adding value. We just want to create clickbait here, but we need to keep them curious. They have to leave the question with, how would I do that?
Well, because here's what it does. I mean, it leaves them wanting more. And this is how you get them into your funnel, and you start to seduce them until by the time they meet with you, they literally have their credit card in their hand. I mean, some of the messages that we sent out to you guys, as we were starting to get ready to launch this, where we were sending you messages of people that had never met us before, right? They'd never done a webinar with us or a meeting with us, but yet they were emailing us or texting us or sending us, hey, I've got $250,000. I can't wait to meet with you on Wednesday, right? Their credit card's in their hand. Their numbers are ready to go. They're engaged. All we need to do is come in and put the framework around it. And it's because of this whole element of curiosity and then seduction.
And seduction is another word for persuasion. Okay, we've got to be willing to persuade. Okay, and this is where a lot of us resist. You guys have expressed this in the calls, that I'm not a salesman. It's okay. When it comes to the facts and the data, don't feel like you need to.
You shouldn't have to. If you're selling the facts and the data, you're talking to the wrong person, or you've positioned your message in the inappropriate way.
But we do have to be persuasive. And guess what? If you're not willing to, somebody else will. Okay? So this is one of those things, it's a skill that you need to have. You need to be wise as a serpent, yet harmless as a dove. Okay? This is something you have to be able to learn to do, or else somebody else will, and they're not teaching the right things. They're not teaching what you can.
And guys, this is probably relevant in all of our business, Tim including you, right? If you are not appealing to curiosity and then persuading and then backing all of that up with massive value, then every single year, and when I first got into the business, this drove me crazy. Every single year I had to reconvince my clients to pay their next premium. Well, don't you remember I told you that this is a better rate of return than your 401k? Don't you remember that now if you do this, then taxes go away, right? I mean, I had to reconvince them and resell them every single year. Tim, with insurance, every single year that their premium comes due, they're probably wondering, why am I paying this? What do I have to do? So curiosity, persuasion, and then we just overload them with value.
Yep. And for those who don't feel like they're creative, which I think is a lot of us, we don't really feel like we're creative, here's some starts to getting some traction around creating some curiosity and being persuasive, okay? So there's 5 of what we call these curiosity hooks, okay? The first one is this, you structure it this way, little known, but it makes a big difference, okay? So this is something that people might not be aware of, but if you are, it makes a very big difference. That piques people's curiosity, okay?
So when we first got going with this, we kind of played around with the PUA rider. Right, the little known tweak to your life insurance policy that can add millions of dollars of value.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, okay, how is that? How could I do that? What is that thing? Okay. The other one is something that's well known, but it's not very well understood. Okay. Palm Beach did a lot of this marketing with life insurance when they were talking about like the president's account, right? All these people have had this for a long time, but not very many people, the general public doesn't understand it. If we can understand it, we can get those benefits too, okay? And you'll see this in good copywriting. You'll see little known, big differences, well known, little understood. The next one is this changes everything, okay? It's similar to the little known, big differences, but it's related to the problem that your audience wants to solve and letting them know that what they're just not aware of the one thing, that if we change this one thing, you'll get what you already want, okay? The next one is the crystal ball theory, okay?
we did this with our retirements, right? So we played off of, what's the guy's name? David Walker.
Yep.
David Walker's the former comptroller of the U.S. government, and David Walker predicts that taxes are going to go up by 50%, right? So it's this crystal ball theory that we have a behind-the-scenes expert who knows the tax code, and if this doesn't change, then your taxes are going to double, which means if you're in a 401k, you're screwed.
Yeah, and it also has to do with because a crystal ball is about telling the future. And because we know something that's going to happen in the future, what people have been doing in the past is now obsolete.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the way we did it with taxes. Like what your tax advisor used to be telling you about taxes is not going to apply in the future.
And Robert Kiyosaki does this really well also. I mean, it's this whole crystal ball that's, his is this changes everything. It's savers or losers because the rules of the game have changed, right? His whole thing is the rules have changed. Learn the new rules to becoming wealthy. Elevation Group, the new rules of the rich or the wealthy. I mean, you can see this. Marketing efforts that work use one or multiple of these curiosity books.
And the homework we're going to have you do after I explain the fifth one is we're going to have you take an example of your message and write it in all 5 areas. You make it a little known, big difference, make it a well known, little understood. You may not use them all, but going through the exercise will help you feel like which one fits the best, but also be expanding your mind and twisting your mind to figure out how this all works. The last one is revisiting the fundamentals. When I think about this, I think about Vince Lombardi, one of the greatest coaches ever. He would, after he'd won the Super Bowl or whatever the equivalent was back then, he'd sit his men down in the locker room and hold out a football and say, "Gentlemen, this is a football." And you go back to fundamentals. One of my favorite movies as well is Hoosiers, right? Where he passed 5 times before anyone takes a shot and he benches the kid that doesn't. And all they did was drill and drill and drill because they built on the fundamentals. So you can do it that way. So we're going back to the fundamentals that everybody's lost. And if we do this, then we'll have our outcome.
One of the books that we use a lot, or that I love, is Richest Man in Babylon. Right? So simple. It's just about saving money, right? And going back to the fundamentals.
Yep. And that can feel revolutionary in markets that are oversaturated with, this is almost where you can position yourself against the other 4 ways people are marketing. Say, oh, there's all these people trying to tell the future, or one little trick is going to change everything, but when in reality, we seem to get back to fundamentals. And that feels in and of itself revolutionary.
Like a new opportunity.
Okay? And then, so that's how we can create curiosity. The other one is we need to learn how to be persuasive. And we can be persuasive. There's a great quote. I want to find it. I want to read it to you. I didn't write it down, but I'm going to read it. It says, some of you guys might have seen the homework. We weren't going to do it until now. He said, people will do anything for those who encourage their dreams, justify their failures, ally their fears, confirm their suspicions, and help them to throw rocks at their enemies. Okay, so as we're putting our arguments together, we want to work this in. Okay, encouraging their dreams. This is back to the desire and ambition. Okay, you can do financial independence in 10 years or less. That's a dream encouraging thing. Okay, justifying their failures is saying it's not your fault, it's that other thing, and now we can get you past that.
It's a new opportunity.
Okay.
And then laying their fears, it's how to without, right? How to do this, how to get real estate-like returns without actually owning real estate. And one of the things that we do, we haven't shared this with you guys yet, but we've positioned ourselves to say, look, everyone else out there is a goldfish advisor. Right? And we've got a whole storyline around what it means to get goldfish advice, and we're throwing rocks at our enemy, right? And all of our marketing, it's not finance done better, it's done completely different, right? If you want the same results that everyone else is getting, do what everyone else is doing. But if you want something, opposite, it requires you doing the exact opposite.
Yep. And there's times where you're going to do this about other people, and there's times where you're going to do this about yourself. You can even say, like, you're probably thinking that life insurance is really boring, right? and you're getting in and sort of allaying some of their fears, or you're probably thinking, I'm going to take you through whatever else, that, you know, there's that. But then also, like, confirm your suspicions. We do this a lot with Wall Street. Like, let's really take a look and say, are you getting what you really think? And let's take a look at why. You're suspicious that it's not going well. Let's take a look at and pull back the curtain as to why. Okay? And then obviously throw rocks at your enemies. That's kind of the us versus them idea re-expressed. Okay?
And this kind of builds on what we talked about last time, guys. In the beginning, Brad, you and I were a little bit, outside of throwing rocks at Dave Ramsey,
yeah,
we were a little bit concerned about throwing rocks at our enemies, right? But the more we did it, the more following we had, the more engagement we had, and we actually got to the point where it's kind of fun. Now, we drink our own Kool-Aid, and sometimes I wonder if I just have like overly focused tunnel vision, and I probably do, but it's because I've gotten so good at throwing rocks at enemies, saying, look, nothing else works. And when I say works, nothing else will get you what you want. Remember what we talked about in our first meeting? It doesn't get you what you want. So let's throw rocks at everything else, and let's focus your efforts.
And we do this in a lot of ways. Like, we teach a lot of Kiyosaki stuff, and then we turn right around and throw rocks at him. Because Kiyosaki teaches you great principles of passive income, and then he teaches you how to
do real estate actively.
Yeah, get a job in real estate. So there's lots of those. This is worked into a lot of different things. And guys, we know we went really fast through these last two sections. We didn't want this video to be hugely lengthy. But we're going to break all of this down in the next section, and you're going to work through a lot of it. So we're going to give you some teasers in the homework just meant to get your brain warmed up on the idea. Okay? Start to see how this applies, start to see it in the real world. And then as we build it out, there's a way that we can reverse engineer a lot of this. Okay? And we're going to go through a very step-by-step process to create your like a completeness of the message. So don't worry that it doesn't feel right or anything like that. Just try them. This is just, like, this is just warming up. This is just stretching. This is just getting us pliable around these ideas so that when we go in and start working on it, we're ready to dive in full speed.
So guys, this brings to conclusion the 3 M's. Now, the 3 M's sits at the entire foundation of everything else. The tools, the emails, the ClickFunnels, the epiphany bridges, nothing else matters until you understand the 3 M's, right?
And for us, guys, like, we'll be honest with this, we were scared to teach this segment of it, to be honest, because we know how you guys are, we know how ourselves are. We just wanted the email sequence. We just wanted the right website. We just wanted the tools because we thought that was going to get our results. But the reason we started with this is when this domino fell for us, everything took off. All of our ability to be compelling in our videos, to make the tools we're using effective, in other words, all hinges on what we've taught over the last 4 sessions. And so, like I said, we were scared to teach it because we don't know how it was going to be received. We don't, like, people that don't understand or believe in marketing think this is just tips and tricks and snake oil stuff. But hopefully connecting it back to this conversation of why has made you guys believers in needing to go through the work, that if we don't do this and we don't get this right and we don't put the effort into this, none of what we teach in the rest of the course will make any difference at all.
And you won't get any results. That's the whole thing. That's where we started this conversation off, is it does come down to those Jordan rings. It comes down to results. And no matter what we stack, and that's been our problem up to this point, is we've given people the end game, but we haven't given them the foundation, which means they've never got results. And we gave them just enough to satisfy the question that they were asking, but it came back to what we talked about in this. The question that they were asking was the wrong question. And it's not that they intentionally were asking it, they didn't know how to ask the right question. So guys, internalize this. We're only going to do 1 video this week. We overwhelmed you a little bit in week 1. We're only going to do 1 video because we want you to spend time on the 3 M's. Go back to the homework assignments from week number 1. I know not all of those got done. And complete homework assignments from week number 2. Because guys, everything we do after this, if you don't have the homework assignments done in these first 2 weeks, nothing else matters.
And you're going to be playing catch up. You're going to realize, crap, I don't have that stuff done and I need it for the next one. So my last final thought on this is, we've asked you over and over who you need to become. You guys need to become marketers. That's what you really asked us about. when you started into this course. It was not what tools you use. It was not how to be a better salesman or be a better closer or present a better calculator. Why Ryan and I are different, the reason we can run our business the way we can run our business has nothing to do with our level of technology. It has everything to do with our level of marketing. It is because we believe, and we have to remind ourselves every day, that we are first. Our first job, our first responsibility in our business is to be a marketer. And the first thing I do in the morning, I get up and I go to the gym, and when I get back to my office, I spend an hour every morning from 6 to 7 studying marketing. That's what you guys asked us to do, and that's who you need to become. This is the introductory set of tools for that. The next section, we're going to flesh it out and go into more detail and actually create some workable things so that when we go to the tools, now all you're doing is hanging all this work on it and you're able to run. So we're excited to roll that out next. Let's go through these homework assignments, and then we're excited for the hot seat calls on Friday.